Mr. Kramer took a group of FFA alumni, which are past graduates of Mayville, to a trivia competition in Dodgeland and Juneau. There were 46 teams, and they took second.
Wow.
So, yeah, our FFA program is a pretty outstanding program that we can take our alumni that have participated and who do well at these competitions.
All you need is two smart ones.
Yeah. All right, do you want to continue?
Yeah, there was the Village of Kokoski in the town of Williamstown. It has a different title, it's in my office, but they had a hearing that's at 4 o'clock on April 12th. I had been asked to actually make a statement, so I said, absolutely, I will make the statement on behalf of the Board of Education. Joe had mentioned, just, we want to make sure we talked about that tonight, and if anybody else is planning on attending, if we have more than 4 board members, we'll have to post it. So
I say we just post it just in case.
Okay, all right, we'll post it, so Janet, we'll just have to post it, there may be a quorum at that. And I have the official title of it in my office. Thursday, April 12th, 4 o'clock. I think it runs from 4 to 7. Good. So, the next board meeting is April 16th. We need to set up a policy. Can I just do that in email? Is that what's best? Do you know, like right now, is it a night is the best option for the group to meet? Early morning, middle of the day, you name it.
Early morning.
Yeah. I can do early morning as well, I just gotta check every other day I'm available.
Okay. All right, well, maybe that works for you.
Yeah, we'll check the day when we decide.
Okay, well, I'll look at the calendar tomorrow morning and I'll send out some options then. So for mornings then, so that keeps it easier then. So, and kind of, it sounds like for all of us, we may be more flexible, so if you know it's every other day, we'll just I'll throw out a week and pick a couple days.
All right.
Okay? I think that's what I'm trying to do.
When did you say the Williamstown hearing was?
It's April 12th.
April 12th.
12. For some reason I've got 23rd on the calendar. That's
No, it's 12.
It's for sure the 12th.
It is 12.
okay.
And then, just kind of looking ahead, we have, on May 9th, we are working with the Chamber of Commerce to host a heroin summit for our community. So they'll have a community event in the evening, and we've been told we better make sure to keep it in the gym. Typically, they have really good response to these kind of events in town, so that'd be great to see that. So May 9th, we will have an assembly for the high school students in the afternoon, followed by a community presentation that night. And originally it sounded like there may be a cost to this, but then in the meantime, maybe not.
I gathered from the email that the city is doing.
And then I just brought these tonight. There's a very inexpensive little kind of, they'll be given out at the groundbreaking ceremony as just a little trinket to celebrate the.
Attach them to your computer.
Yeah, destroy your computer with that. So I think for me, the next thing that I would want to make sure that I am talking about is the budget report that Ryan has, so I can move on from my document and go into his.
We just get up at midnight.
So here's the good news. Ryan's very, Ryan, the goal is to have attention to detail and transparency for the Board of Education. So we are trying to be way more proactive. So last year, when our prior finance director left, we did not have a budget in Skyward. So if somebody wanted a report, I couldn't give it to them because it wasn't in Skyward. Versus right now, even the draft budget is 100% in Skyward. So we could turn it on immediately and be working in 18, 19 documents. So very different than where we were before, and Ryan's just doing a fantastic job, is the deal. So we have, this is a document as of April 2nd, so today, this is a summary of state of the state on what's included And this, it says recommended format for budget adoption. We're not requiring everybody to adopt a budget tonight. This is just a working document that we want to give you guys an FYI on the stuff that's happening. So, and what also is not in here, you don't see a staffing plan, any changes. So there are like, we do have somebody who's retiring. We have a plan to take someone internally, move them into that position, and then not to fill their position in the teaching ranks. So we will have a staffing plan that we'll share with the negotiations committee, which will therefore will come to this full board within a month here of all the details on what we're planning for next year with the adults. So, but all of these variables, these were discussed at the last meeting. I'm gonna turn, so you guys aren't here until 10 o'clock at night tonight to what's next. In the second page, in the document that he created in this narrative, shows this. So the 4 items below are the biggest impacting items that can and will change in the coming months prior to budget adoption. So we're still waiting for our final insurance numbers from, so this is Associated, so our benefits consultant that we work with, so they're ADR. So they're working to get the rates. They gave us preliminary rates that no one is going to be happy with. So they were not vetted out yet. So they came in at, like right now in our budget, we have, and I can look in the front here, an 8% increase for health insurance. I mean, that's, we can work with that, but we were given a preliminary 17. No, we're not gonna work with that, but you're gonna have to do something. So, and if you already look at our plan, we already have a $4,000 deductible, so that's considered a high deductible plan. So we're looking at our options, and we'll absolutely have a recommendation, and you will know soon what's happening there. We just are waiting for that final number. So we set up another meeting in the month of April then with our committee. So dental insurance, we are self-insured for dental. We found out that we actually have the base of the base of base dental plans with Delta, just so you're aware. There's can't go any lower in the dental plan than what we have. So, and we are self-insured, and by self-insured means that we can go upside down. We actually have enough claims that cover it, the claims can go over our actual costs. So we found out that we're upside down in that world, and so we're vetting out and making sure maybe we shouldn't be self-insured. Maybe we should just be looking at a base plan where here's what we pay. So the good news is because we are self-insured, we actually have a bucket of dollars that were, I'll call them surplus. They're just dedicated, here's what we paid for the insurance. We did not use it last year, so therefore it's able to carry over to cover that. In the meantime, they're coming in at a 15% increase. So those are variables now that's new information to us. So that's 7%. Actually, what's the number I had in the budget? 3%, I'm sorry, it's 12% higher. So, but a dental increase of 15% is very different than a health insurance of 17%. I mean, that's significant. So those, if you were to add those together, that would put us at a $100,000 deficit in our budget. Now, keep in mind, the $13 million budget, that's still, somebody would call it balanced at this point in time, you know? I still don't want to bring that to you as to the Board of Education. We'll have a plan, so what it means. So, and we're working with an advisory group, and the advisory group's going to help provide a recommendation after working with them for 2 years now. So, what was also important is as far as what's coming, we know that professional teacher contracts have to be issued by May 15th. And so all teacher contracts, and my recommendation would be the teacher contracts, they just say you have a job in 1818, same exact dollar amount you have today, because that's an automatic. Even if you weren't to issue it, it would automatically roll over, and they have legal right to that. So if we're making any staffing changes to positions that are 75% or greater in the teaching ranks, if we're going to reduce any of their FTEs, so let's say they're 100%, we're going to go to 90%. That 10% needs a preliminary notice of non-renewal. So there aren't unions anymore, so we have to follow the specific timelines in the state of Wisconsin. So we have the final notice of non-renewal, even if it is just for 10% of the contract, is no later than May 15th.
Is there any teachers that really go below 100% FTE besides paraprofessionals?
Yeah, some of the elective teachers at the high school.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of, you're right though, like at Parkview in the middle
Sure.
school, most of those are full-time.
Okay.
It's
But
really
you-
the high school
You
teachers.
might have to do one because you don't know if you're losing 25 kids or not next
Sure.
year. So you just, the least.
Right, so we're gonna, well,
You try not to.
you try not to, exactly, because if you've got good staff and now you're giving them a partial notice of non-renewal, they're gonna start looking for another job.
Well, sure.
So you really wanna make sure when you have these that you feel confident that, okay, this is step one, the first priority that we would do if we're gonna have a reduction. Now, this is only applies to professional staff. So support staff, they get a letter of appointment from the superintendent, and you can make any changes in that you want to, you know? So then you have exempt staff, and exempt staff, their contracts rolled over this January. So any changes in those would have to be negotiated individually with those people if there's gonna be any changes. Otherwise, all the exempt staff have a legal guarantee to be paid what they get paid now. Now, benefits and stuff, that's totally a different deal. So as far as health insurance and dental, those are, you know, that stuff is school district provided, it's all in a handbook. So we can make changes, the Board of Education administrators, as needed, with renewals. So if we're gonna change plans with a carrier, that'll get brought to the Board of Education for approval. If it's just a small plan change, I'll give you a heads up, here's what's happening, and here's what the impact that has on the rates. Okay. So we do know, though, that we gotta work backwards, so no later than May 15th is when the final notice of non-renewal for whatever percent of a contract it is. I did say, and I wanna make sure I say it correctly, if there's a 75% contract, nope, I was almost said it wrong. If there's a 60% contract, anything under 75, 74%, legally, you don't have to meet this timeline. They don't have to receive a preliminary notice of non-renewal and a final. They do just need to be notified that their contract is being reduced. I still think it's a good idea to just keep kind of going with that procedure. And we do have some changes in the high school schedule based upon elective choices. The kids are making choices that bump up some FTE and may have an impact on others. We're still vetting that out right now. So we'll have those recommendations very soon. And it's important because we have to meet these timelines. So, and you have the May 15th timeline, but you also have a preliminary notice that's required. So you have a preliminary that has to have at least 15 days in it before you give the final. So for us, that cutoff would be April 30th. So looking at a calendar with Ryan, we're like, okay, do we need an extra board meeting? Where are things exactly? So we may need to have one extra meeting in the month of April just to make sure that we meet this timeline. It could be a 5-minute meeting for that matter, but you know. So right now, when you're looking at a budget like ours, it's pretty tight. We feel good about the numbers that we have, you know. But again, I'm not fortune teller on some of these things. The good news is it's the second year of a biennial budget, so it is more concrete. These numbers are pretty good overall. So, the third bullet that Ryan has here, shortly before the end of the school year, we'll work with building principals and secretaries to track any student enrollment. So like right now, we actually went through with the administrators and their staff, and we updated our open enrollment projections and updated our membership. So rather than working with the second Friday count, we're working with real live, these are the bodies that we have in our schools today. This is the open enrollment numbers that we have today, and then we forecasted that over. Rather than saying, hey, well, we've got information, it's good. No, we have the real numbers actually that we're working with, and that's what's reflected in this budget. So and then Ryan, his last point of order here is the potential of teacher movements such as resignations and new hires could impact the budget depending on the salaries and benefits. And last year, we actually, with the changes in staffing, overall, it generated a lot of savings for us. That's what happened out there. So right now, we don't predict many staffing changes at this point in time. I do know of one additional retirement that's probably coming, but not until mid-year for like next January. So, but it's good. Like we appreciate the communication from the staff so that we can try to, the words that people are going to start hearing me here are we're being lean. It's about consolidating services as much as we possibly can, and it's about efficiency. So when you look at a dollar amount like that, we can make that work. We can figure that out. So that's the narrative that goes with the report. Now I'm going to go to the actual, and this is in the packet, so the actual budget itself. And I'll only speak to, there's some variance on many of the lines that Ryan didn't draw attention to. If you do have questions about those, just follow up with Ryan or I later, and he can give you some more detail on that. He didn't walk through every single bit of this with me today. I was at a conference with the Pupil Services team today called Cultural Responsiveness in Watertown. It's a really great workshop. We actually, I think our team is hoping that we can bring that to our entire faculty, support staff, bus drivers, you name it, next school year. So I met with him at 4 o'clock today to go through this document, and I asked him a couple questions. So, okay, so right now, it says this, so 17-18 surplus adding to fund balance. So this budget, he's saying right now that we're gonna have a surplus in the 17-18 budget of $11,170. We found some expenditures that we didn't need to budget for. So that was great news for us this year. So he went through, Ryan didn't build the budget 100%. Kathy, so you had a Janelle, then you had a Kathy, then you had a Ryan. So Ryan had a chance to vet out every little thing now. So we look like we've got a great budget for the 2017-18 school year. Now that does positively impact us, obviously, for the 18-19 school year. That helps us out. So using the updated enrollment figures and any changes we've seen from the state of Wisconsin, we are looking like we have a deficit of $37,000 in the budget. That doesn't include those insurance updates, which I'm committed to not bringing to the Board of Education 17%, 15% increases. We'll figure it out. I just wanted you to know, like, the news that I just shared. So in this next line, number 3, it's our local sources and taxes. So the taxes are predicted to go down $106,000 and $106,407. That is due to just a change in our enrollment and just the revenue limit worksheet. What it comes down to. So then this next part, line number 4, it's a drop of $12,000. This is, it says drop is in money, in and out field trip payments. Also did not budget the expense side for busing. So it's just, he's making sure to get the budget in line. Next part, line number 5, open enrollment currently projected at a slight decline. You know, just kind of playing it safe rather than saying we're going to see a big increase. We did see an increase in open enrollment from the 16-17 to 17-18. A lot of that was actually the added dollar amount to the open enrollment value. So we're just projecting that. That's pretty much like a student, just so you're aware, a student or two. Next page is the number 6, library common school funds and transportation aid. You see a change in the, actually you see an increase there. The next one says, okay, library common school funds and transportation aid, equalization aid increase per pupil is supposed to assist with this drop. That is for line 7. So the way that this thing reads, line 7, you can see our general aid is down $128,000. They're just shifting the money from the revenue limit worksheet and they're putting it in the form of that categorical aid per student is what they're doing. The part that actually really benefits the school district. That for us is a win. The tough part with that is they can change that dollar amount on an annual basis. So with the amount of money that's in that pot now, you can see that other revenue is up $201,000, and that is literally because of that per pupil aid. So the state of Wisconsin could change their mind on that with the way it is versus the revenue limit worksheet. It's much more challenging to.
We should see another increase next year as well, right?
Well, that is showing the increase.
Yeah. That is already,
that's with it built in.
Okay, that's with it.
So fortunately for us, that additional aid is offsetting the loss of state aid and the loss of tax dollars. So, I mean, that actually is a win for the community then. On line 9 and 10, those are our title funds. So Title 2 is the professional development budget. It looks like there's a slight decline in federal grants in general, just so you're aware. So they're tightening up the federal dollars to public education. So Title 1's down just a little bit, but you can see how much it dropped from 16-17. So in 16-17 we received $167,000. This next year, $140,000, and we do have an increased free and reduced rate population, which is a driver for some of this. It doesn't matter though; we're losing federal dollars. Period. Line 11 is Medicaid, and we really just have to estimate that one. There's not a formula that we're going to use. If you were to go back 6, 7 years ago, you would see big SBS Medicaid payments, and they're all caught up now. So now you're just going to get really
We get
minimal.
$80,000, $100,000.
Used to, not anymore. So back pay days are done. Darn it, you know. But, so line 12, so sale / loss on assets. I can't even speak to that, just so you know, it's such a minimal amount there. And then workman's comp dividend, that's exciting to see, that is up. So that was great news. So, to see it be increased there. We have good news in general about our workman's comp. So
And we were at risk for a couple of years. And
we were. So some of the claims fell off, is what happened, so that helped us out. So our revenues in general, though they are down, they're projected to be down 0.36%. So what you can say is just like in public schools, there's not a lot of new dollars that are being added into it. So as Ryan said in his narrative, we're very thankful for that per pupil categorical aid increase. That's a very big deal for Mayville School District. So when you get into the next section, we're going to just start talking about the expenses then. And you can see this line 15 says, despite CPI and insurance increases, instruction costs are basically even. So we're trying to be lean is what it comes down to, and we're looking for any fiscal opportunities and savings that we can have there. So we budgeted for CPI, we budgeted for the 8% increase in health insurance, and in general, that is literally even as far as $218 difference. So we're attending the professional development budget, so you can see savings of about almost $30,000 there for line 16. Line 17 says there's $85,000 increase. Well, what is that? Well, it looks at utilities. It's just site level, building level expenses, and that does include the $22,000 that we're setting aside for a possible resource officer, school resource officer. So line 18, $20,000. That is all Sue Weary, and we need an additional server update. So that's where those dollars are coming from. And then you can see that not only is our dividend going up, but that's the workman's comp insurance savings. So that for us is a net of, so you've got $15,000 additional workman's comp dividend, and then our savings in workman's comp is $28,000. So that was great to see. That news we just got about 3 weeks ago. So, and then on line 20, it's $69,000 in savings from existing retirees. So we did account for our new retiree, and that's still covering those expenses and seeing the retiree benefits sunsetting. That's a $70,000 savings.
That's going from an old retirement system to a new one.
Correct.
And
And the new one, we're funding all of our new hires. All the teachers are being funded as we go.
there's no OBIT, no more. There's no money that we need to pay in the future,
There is, but it's been mitigated.
most of it.
Yeah.
It'll disappear.
Little by little, it's getting phased out. So, line 21, Fund 27 transfer says not as high as 1718. Fund 27 special education. Our actual costs in special education are going up, but the good news is in special ed, when you spend, you get back categorical aid on that the following year. So we get back about 26% of those expenses. So next year then, covering the special education expenses, we have additional aid coming because we increased staff this year. One of the things you can look back, you can see 2 years ago, our numbers in staff were here, then balancing a budget and looking at IEP needs, it got pretty tight. And then our student needs rose again. So it's like this. It's literally, we're right back to where we were. So ideally, you don't want to see that because that's a lot of hiring process and that you're going through.
The fluctuation, could that be due to, and again, I remember seeing some report where we're taking on some open enrollment students for that, which.
We do have some students that open enrolled, obviously that are special education. Those students, I can't speak to exactly the cost per pupil for that. No, that's not the driving force for our
Okay, just wanted to
hiring
make
though.
sure that it wasn't.
No,
Okay.
not at all, not at all. Actually, we did not have to add any staff on because of
Because of.
Because of it.
Okay.
So now the thing is though, it happened